today we have gathered together to honor the life and the death and the resurrection of Martin Lake. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Now is the time for a eulogy.
Now there are two vital things you really need to know if you ever want to understand Martin Lake. The first thing was when you initially met him, you saw what he wanted you to see. And the second, for those of you who were close to him, you saw what he let you see. Now, the Greek philosopher Heraclitus once wrote, "No man steps into the same river twice, because it's not the same river. He is not the same man." Now, for 30 years, the Mississinawa River flowed through our friendship. And each time when we would meet, the waters of that river had moved, and Martin and I were not the same man. But we all have to ask ourselves through all of this is, why did he do it through all the years? Right, Jenny? Why did you do that? It's a full-time job with no recompense, and mostly his rewards would come in heartburn. But he did it simply because he wanted to give back to his community. That is the man that he was. Now, behind the gruff exterior, Martin Lake was the most generous man I ever knew. He continually looked for ways to give, not in outlandish publicity-seeking ways, but in quiet ways that only he and the beneficiary knew. He spoke of many of you in this room often, and not in a negative way. He would call me and he would say, "How is so-and-so? Do they need anything?" Always working behind the scenes. And you occupied many of his thoughts. You saw the gruff exterior because that's what he wanted you to see. But he let me see another side. Now, through all of this has flowed the Mississinawa River. As Heraclitus noted, we can't step into the same river twice. Mississinawa is not the same, and neither are we. A new day is here. The time has come now for all of you to carry on and to assume the mantle of leadership that Martin Lake created, inspired, because he gave us the forward path. Guys, Mississinawa is yours now. The greatest tribute you will ever pay to this man and the power of his dreams is to carry them forward. He may have inspired you. Heather, I know he aggravated you. But he was a giant of men who never thought of himself, only thought of you.
Some of you, or maybe all of you, remember going out to 1812, slogging through the muddy field and the roads and between the tents, mud, mud, mud everywhere. And to have the commitment to, or the desire to continue on that tradition enough to slog through the mud and sometimes get rained on, and sometimes it would be really hot and muggy, sometimes it would be cold. That's a lot of commitment to do something you really want to do. Martin only missed one Sunday between the last Sunday he was here and when he passed. He was so determined to slug through his mental confusion. His body ached and didn't want to cooperate. He could hardly move. Frequently, he was teased about getting ready on Thursday for Sunday morning because he was confused about what day it was. Believe you me, that is slogging through aging in order to do what you need or want to do. I so appreciate people who are willing to do that and to keep going no matter what. And Martin certainly was a demonstration of that.
I think the overarching theme of Martin's life and his true legacy is a generosity of spirit. He cared so deeply, and I know, so like Steve said, you saw what he wanted you to see. So you saw the gruff and the yelling. Now let me tell you, if he gave you advice, even if it was in a raised tone of voice, it was because he cared about you. He didn't waste his time giving advice to people he didn't think would need it and appreciate it and that he could help. But he cared by becoming involved, and that's the theme in our household was your community raised you, so you give back to your community. And for Martin, that took on such a deeper meaning. It wasn't just being a public defender for 30 years. It wasn't just 1812. It was taking care of people individually when he knew that there was a problem. And his accomplishments, if you read his obituary, it seems like an extraordinary thing, right? Wasn't even half of what is actually on his resume. And it's far more impressive when you find out, most people didn't know, Martin suffers from severe dyslexia and still was able to accomplish all of that. I mean, just getting through law school with dyslexia is something. But he also, we believe, had some extreme anxiety. And what y'all didn't see was behind the yelling was he made himself sick, literally physically ill every 1812. He did it over his juveniles. He cared that much about the people around him. And then we had the animals. Martin was a bleeding heart. Let me tell you, when I went back into that office, I could not figure out what on earth, every time I went in, every day or two to the post office, that box was crammed. Martin had been single-handedly supporting basically every animal and children's charity that had contacted him in the last 10 years. I could not believe even I was shocked at that one. But I watched Martin every time he heard something about someone, bad news, someone who was ill, someone who was in need. He didn't react right away. He'd sit for a minute. And you'd see that look come over his face, and frequently it would be, that's awful, and then he'd immediately jump to how they're feeling, and then it was, what can I do? What could they possibly need? And most of the time, honestly, that was anonymous. It was anonymous donations. It was just listening as people spoke to him. And so something that he knew they had a need for, be it monetary or something else, Martin loved passionately, and it showed in everything he did. He didn't do anything he didn't love. Look at his horses and his animals. But Mama, his deepest love was you. Nothing could make him cry faster. Nothing turned him softer than talking about you. You were his treasure. And you need to know that and hold on to that. He was so proud of you, and he loved you. But I think most of all, that is his legacy. It was a generosity of spirit so big that he was not just driven, but truly called upon to care about everyone around him, even though most of you never saw it. So I hope that that is the lesson you take from his life, that you live with passion and you be generous in your spirit, you give however you can, and you love fiercely.
Take aim, fire! Second rank, make ready, take aim, fire! Front rank, make ready, take aim, fire!
And so we come today to lay to rest this body that has laughed and toiled, worked and planned all through these years, knowing that we here commit to the earth only that which is of